Welcome back, focused learners. Let's jump right into today's explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating study guide called The Happy After Your Hardship. And the core concept here is so powerful. It's the idea that your hardship isn't necessarily the end of your happiness. Instead, think of it as a stony, difficult road that's actively revealing what is developing within us. Let's see exactly how the text builds this framework.
Okay, let's dive into this. The foundational text for this entire framework is Genesis chapter 22, specifically looking at Abraham's journey. The study guide uses him as the ultimate case study to prove a massive point. Where we start out is absolutely not where God intends for us to stay. The text emphasizes that the very same force that brought you this far is more than capable of taking you further. That stony road, it's leading somewhere highly specific.
So, to really grasp this framework of reframing, the source lays out a clear roadmap for us today. We're going to objectively break down 3 distinct mindset shifts you need to navigate life's challenges. Number 1, sacred versus scarcity. Number 2, consecrated versus culture. And number 3, purpose versus protection.
All right, moving right into part 1, choosing sacred over scarcity.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it examines the way we view and react to the things we're lacking. The text contrasts 2 totally different perspectives inside the exact same difficult situation. On the left, you've got scarcity. This is represented by Isaac, who is focusing entirely on what is visibly missing, where is the lamb for the sacrifice, right? But on the right, we have the sacred mindset, represented by Abraham. He's standing in the gap between what's missing and what is sacred. The guide shows us he's holding the tension, fully trusting that scarcity doesn't get the final word when a higher power is still present.
The study guide then gives us this crystal clear historical case study of a severe scarcity crisis from 1 Kings 17, the widow of Zarephath. Talk about being at the end of your rope. She faced limited flour, limited oil, and frankly, limited options. She was preparing what she legitimately believed was going to be her final meal.
And from her story, the text extracts this incredible theological takeaway. What looks insufficient in our hands can become sacred when surrendered to God. The main point they're driving home here is that having faith doesn't mean we just ignore what we lack. You don't just pretend the pantry isn't empty. Rather, a sacred mindset remembers that your current lack is never, ever larger than the ultimate ability to provide.
Then, the source pivots over to Hagar's story in Genesis 21 as a second, really poignant example. She's stranded in a harsh wilderness with her child, and the text points out that her intense, overwhelming pain actually blocked her ability to see the provision that was already there. It was only when her eyes were open that she saw a well of water right in front of her. The provision existed the whole time, but the scarcity mindset temporarily blinded her to it.
So how do we apply this when scarcity is screaming at us and we can't see the ram in the thicket yet? The guide gives us 3 direct, practical steps. Step 1, name what is missing. Be completely honest about your reality. Step 2, remember what is sacred. And step 3, trust the record. The text advises that even if your solution is completely hidden right now, you can always rely on the historical track record of past provision.
Let's shift gears now to part 2, consecration over cultural convenience.
This section looks inward to see what's really driving our daily choices by juxtaposing 2 competing forces. First, you have cultural convenience. This is taking the path of least resistance, living, responding, and making choices exactly like everyone else around you. But then there's consecration. This means allowing God to actively shape your reactions, your choices, and your priorities. The text suggests that belonging to God means your public witness is distinctly set apart from the cultural norm. Just like Abraham, his obedience was driven by a deep covenant, not just by what was convenient.
To really anchor this concept, the source brings up the Samaritan woman at the well in John chapter 4. She is a perfect example because she completely refused to let convenience dictate her actions. Instead, she moved far beyond deep cultural shame, massive gender barriers, and intense religious division.
So, the crucial point is captured beautifully in this quote right from the text. Consecration can turn a painful story into a public testimony. The guide argues that by choosing consecration over cultural convenience, she transformed her incredible encounter into a powerful witness for the exact same community that may have marginalized her in the first place. Taking inspiration from the women in Luke chapter 8 who supported Jesus with their own resources, the text gives us this major practical takeaway. Consecration isn't just about what you avoid, it's heavily about what you actively make available. A consecrated life takes your choices, your reactions, your family, your future, and your faith, and actively offers them up for a higher purpose.
And that brings us to our third and final paradigm shift, prioritizing purpose over protection.
Now, we all have a baseline human desire for protection, right? We want to stay comfortable, and we definitely want to stay safe. But the study guide suggests that walking in purpose often means stepping into sticky situations we cannot fully control. Purpose requires us to willingly walk into the heavy weight of an assignment. Going back to Abraham, the text points out that his willingness to bear the heavy emotional weight of his task led him directly to the place where a highly dangerous situation actually became holy evidence of provision.
We see this again in the story of Esther. In Esther 4:14, she risks her own life to approach the king. She demonstrates this massive realization that her royal position wasn't just given to her for comfort, it was for a specific, urgent calling. Her story proves that walking in purpose often requires a level of courage that completely bypasses our instinct for personal safety.
The source backs this up with 1 Corinthians 4:9, stating, "Sometimes God uses our hardship, endurance, and faith as a witness to others." The text outlines that stepping into your designated purpose can intentionally place you on display for the benefit of other people. Your endurance during a hardship might be the exact witness somebody else desperately needs to see.
And this brilliantly illustrates our conclusion for today: finding happy after hardship.
By utilizing these three reframing tools, shifting from scarcity to sacred, trading cultural convenience for deep consecration, and boldly prioritizing purpose over self-protection, you are vastly better equipped to navigate your own stony roads. To end today, the source challenges us with one final, climactic distinction. The mindset of protection naturally asks, how do I stay safe? But purpose challenges us to ask, how do I stay faithful? It's a framework demanding that we trust our purpose is fundamentally bigger than our comfort. Thank you for joining me to break this down today. Keep learning, stay focused, and I will see you in the next explainer.